You think retirement means the hard part is finally over. But does it? The alarm clock stops. The paycheck disappears. The neighbors congratulate you. Your portfolio looks healthy. Maybe you even hit that magic number everyone online worships. 1 million, 2 million, maybe more. Then reality starts billing you. Property taxes rise again. Grocery prices jump 20% without warning. Insurance companies quietly increase premiums like they're siphoning blood through a hidden tube. The stock market drops 15% in a month, and suddenly every single purchase feels heavier. That is when wealthy retirees discover something genuinely terrifying. Retirement is not about how much money you have. It is about how fast money leaves. And the retirees who stay wealthy the longest? They are rarely the ones showing off luxury lifestyles. Usually they are the ones who went through a financial detox. They started cutting the habits, purchases, and foods that drained cash flow, damaged health, and created dependency. Not because they were poor, because they understood something most people never do. Every unnecessary expense in retirement becomes a permanent tax on freedom. The dangerous part? Many of these purchases feel completely harmless. They look normal. Society encourages them. Advertising celebrates them. Friends normalize them. But slowly, silently, they erode both wealth and health at exactly the same time. The first thing wealthy retirees stopped buying was constant restaurant food. At first, retirement feels like a permanent vacation. Breakfast cafes, lunch outings, dinner reservations, food delivery apps arriving like clockwork. It feels deserved. You worked 40 years. Why not enjoy yourself? Then the math starts getting ugly. A retired couple spending $75 a day eating out burns over $27,000 a year. Add alcohol, tips, desserts, random coffee stops, and holiday dinners, and suddenly that number climbs toward $40,000 annually. That is not convenience anymore. That is a luxury lifestyle quietly disguised as normal living. And the body pays alongside the wallet. Restaurant food is engineered to trigger cravings, not longevity. Cheap oils, massive sodium levels, sugar hidden in sauces. Portions designed to overstimulate your appetite every single time. Retirees started noticing something disturbing among their peers. People were aging fast. Swollen faces, bad knees, diabetes, brain fog, fatigue, prescription medications multiplying every year like subscriptions nobody remembers signing up for. Then came the realization that changes everything. Bad health is not only painful, it is financially catastrophic. One chronic illness can destroy decades of careful retirement planning. One surgery, one hospital stay, one prescription regimen that never ends. So wealthy retirees simplified. Eggs, rice, vegetables, oatmeal, fish, soups, home cooking, boring food, cheap food, real food. And suddenly energy stabilized, weight dropped, and grocery bills shrank. They realized modern consumer culture actually profits when people are exhausted, addicted, and too distracted to think clearly. Cooking interrupted the trap. The second thing wealthy retirees stopped buying was status. And this one genuinely hurts because most people spend half their lives trapped inside it. Luxury cars, designer clothes, watches nobody needs. Kitchen remodels meant to impress visitors who stay for 3 hours twice a year. Retirement exposes the difference between rich people and financially intelligent people. One group needs attention, the other needs freedom. Wealthy retirees eventually realized nobody actually cares about the symbols anymore. The coworkers disappear. Social circles shrink, children move away, and suddenly people are making massive monthly payments for appearances directed at an audience that barely exists. The luxury SUV becomes especially brutal. A $70,000 vehicle is not transportation in retirement. It is a liability with leather seats, higher insurance, expensive repairs, rapid depreciation, property taxes, registration fees. Meanwhile, the quiet millionaire down the street drives a reliable older car. One person buys image, the other buys resilience. And resilience matters far more once income stops. Then came alcohol. Nobody likes talking about this one because drinking is deeply embedded in retirement culture. Wine nights, cruises, golf outings, cocktail dinners. Relaxation. But wealthy retirees started noticing alcohol was stealing from them in multiple directions at once. Money, sleep, energy, focus, health, discipline. A couple drinking casually every evening can easily spend $10,000 annually. Over 20 years invested properly, that money could have compounded into several $100,000. That is the visible cost. The hidden cost is worse. Alcohol weakens decision-making, and weak decision-making is expensive. Late-night impulse shopping. Poor sleep leading to emotional spending the next day. Reduced motivation to exercise. Increased medical problems later. The retirees who cut alcohol describe the same strange feeling. Mental clarity, as if static disappeared from their brains. Spending became calmer, mornings improved, anxiety dropped. They stopped needing constant stimulation just to feel okay, and that shift spilled into everything else. The next thing they stopped buying was oversized homes. This one shocks many retirees because society trains you to believe the house is the final reward. But retirement changes the equation completely. The children leave, rooms sit empty, maintenance never ends, property taxes climb every year. Utility bills expand, roofs leak, appliances fail, lawns demand constant attention. A large house becomes a machine that consumes money indefinitely. And most retirees quietly spend their entire day using just 4 rooms anyway. Kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, living room. Everything else becomes expensive storage space for memories. Wealthy retirees started downsizing strategically. Smaller homes, lower taxes, lower maintenance, less cleaning, less stress. And something unexpected happened. Their lives became lighter. They traveled easier, managed expenses better, worried less during market downturns. That is when many retirees discover the real definition of wealth. Wealth is not having more. Wealth is needing less. Because modern society teaches the exact opposite. Bigger house, bigger car, bigger spending, bigger lifestyle. Until eventually people become servants to maintenance costs. The financially intelligent retirees escaped that cycle deliberately. Then they stopped buying processed so-called health foods. This industry is a masterpiece of manipulation. Boxes with words like heart-healthy, natural, and high-protein covering products loaded with sugar, chemicals, and cheap ingredients. Expensive protein bars basically functioning as candy. Breakfast cereals disguised as health products. Low-fat foods overloaded with artificial additives. And the deeper they looked, the more they realized modern food systems are built around repeat consumption, not long-term health. So they simplified again. Whole foods, fewer ingredients, less packaging, less advertising. And strangely, eating healthier often became cheaper. Because sickness is genuinely expensive, health is not. The next thing wealthy retirees detoxed from was constant technology upgrades. Every year, another phone launches, another smart device, another subscription, another digital ecosystem designed to keep consumers permanently upgrading. Wealthy retirees finally asked the question most people avoid. Does this actually improve my life? A phone from 3 years ago still works. A television from 5 years ago still functions perfectly. Most upgrades are tiny improvements wrapped inside billion-dollar marketing campaigns. Those campaigns are designed to manufacture dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction is incredibly profitable. The retirees who escaped this cycle found peace quickly. No chasing trends, no monthly payment plans, no endless setup headaches. Technology became tools again, not identity. That distinction actually matters more than most people realize. Consumer culture wants people emotionally attached to purchases. Financially resilient retirees become emotionally detached from consumption. That is why they survive downturns better. Then came subscriptions, tiny expenses, silent killers, streaming services, premium apps, meal memberships, delivery perks, news subscriptions, cloud storage, fitness platforms, software renewals. Most people do not realize how dangerous recurring expenses become in retirement. $10 here, $20 there, $30 somewhere else. Then suddenly hundreds disappear every month for services barely used. Wealthy retirees became ruthless about this. If something was not actively improving life, it got canceled, immediately. Because retirement teaches a brutal lesson. Fixed expenses are dangerous, especially when markets crash. especially when inflation spikes, especially when healthcare costs suddenly explode. Every recurring bill reduces flexibility, and flexibility becomes survival during economic uncertainty. The next thing they stopped buying was social approval. This one is the hardest detox of all, because people spend enormous amounts of money trying to avoid judgment. Expensive vacations uploaded to social media, giant holiday spending rituals, unnecessary home renovations, luxury handbags, country club memberships, the celebration purchase after every single life event. Most spending is emotional theater, not utility. Retirement finally gives people enough distance to notice how manipulated they were. Advertising systems survive by creating insecurity. You are too old, too unattractive, too unsuccessful, too behind, too average. Then companies conveniently sell emotional solutions. The wealthy retirees who escaped this trap became almost impossible to manipulate financially, because once external validation stops controlling your spending, expenses collapse dramatically, and peace increases at exactly the same time. That is the irony consumer culture hides. Contentment is bad for business. A person genuinely satisfied with life spends far less money. Then wealthy retirees stopped financially rescuing everyone around them. This one quietly destroys countless retirements. Adult children needing constant support, relatives with emergencies every few months, grandchildren treated like emotional spending projects, loans that are never repaid. Parents entering retirement often feel guilty setting boundaries. They spent decades sacrificing for family, but constant rescuing creates dependency, and dependency can drain retirement savings faster than almost anything else, especially because older people become emotionally vulnerable. Nobody wants to feel selfish. Nobody wants conflict. But retirement money has limits. And once retirees run out of money, there are very few ways to rebuild. Time becomes the enemy. That is why wealthy retirees learn to say no. No co-signing, no repeated bailouts, no funding lifestyles they would never personally live themselves. Helping temporarily is one thing. Financing permanent dysfunction is another. The retirees who protected their boundaries usually protected their futures too. Then they stopped buying convenience constantly. This one sounds small until you realize modern convenience is one of the biggest wealth drains in existence. Food delivery, ride-sharing, express shipping, premium services, convenience fees attached to everything. Those tiny fees accumulate into enormous yearly losses. But wealthy retirees noticed another problem. Convenience weakens capability. People forget how to cook, how to fix things, how to plan ahead. Dependency increases while resilience decreases, and resilience matters enormously in retirement. The retirees who stayed strongest financially became more self-sufficient over time, not less. They learned basic repairs, cooked more meals, managed schedules carefully, planned purchases intentionally. Not because they were cheap, because capability protects wealth. Then came gyms they never used. Retirement can quietly destroy physical health through inactivity once work routines disappear. People sit more, walk less, gain weight faster, lose muscle rapidly, and muscle loss in old age becomes dangerous financially and physically. Falls increase, injuries worsen, independence disappears. But wealthy retirees realized fitness had become overly commercialized. You do not need expensive boutique memberships to remain healthy. Walking works. Resistance bands work. Bodyweight exercises work. Consistency matters more than performance. Because a strong body is retirement insurance. Not metaphorically, literally. Every extra year of independence can save enormous amounts of money and suffering. Then wealthy retirees stopped buying panic. This one is invisible. Nobody sees it because panic purchases rarely look irrational in the moment. During every economic downturn, retirees start making fear-based decisions. They dump investments at the bottom of the market. They hoard random products they never needed before. They buy expensive, safe assets after prices already exploded. Fear becomes financially contagious. Markets recover far more often than emotional stability does. The retirees who survived multiple recessions understood that panic is expensive. Selling investments during crashes locks losses permanently, making huge financial decisions while emotional usually creates regret. So they built systems instead. Emergency cash reserves, Lower monthly expenses, diversified income streams, paid off debts. These things created calm, and calm is incredibly valuable when the economy becomes unstable. While average investors panic, disciplined retirees with low expenses often continue living normally. That psychological advantage actually matters. Then came vacations designed for status instead of enjoyment. Retirement culture often turns travel into competition. Luxury cruises, five-star resorts, international trips posted online for validation, people spending tens of thousands trying to prove they are living their best life. But wealthy retirees started noticing something strange. The most expensive vacations often created the most stress. Airports, delays, overcrowding, massive bills, exhaustion. Meanwhile, simpler experiences created better memories. Road trips, national parks, visiting family, quiet cabins, local adventures. The retirees who stayed happiest financially stopped confusing luxury with fulfillment, because fulfillment usually comes from presence, not price. And once they escaped the social pressure surrounding travel, they realized something freeing. Rest does not have to bankrupt you. Then they stopped buying endless entertainment. Modern entertainment systems are engineered to consume both your money and your attention simultaneously. Sports packages, streaming bundles, casino trips, online shopping disguised as recreation. People retire from work only to become full-time consumers. And the less purpose people feel, the more aggressively they consume distractions. Wealthy retirees who stayed mentally strong replaced passive entertainment with active engagement. Gardening, reading, learning skills, volunteering, building small businesses, mentoring younger people. Purpose reduced consumption, and consumption reduction protected wealth, because boredom is expensive, very expensive. The final thing wealthy retirees detoxed from was distraction itself. Mindless scrolling, shopping for entertainment, hours of advertising disguised as relaxation, impulse buying triggered by boredom. The modern economy survives on fractured attention, because distracted people spend emotionally, focused people spend intentionally. The retirees who maintained wealth longest became extremely protective of their attention. They read more, walked more, thought more carefully, spent less time consuming digital noise, and eventually many realized something shocking. Their happiest years were not their highest spending years. They were the years with the lowest complexity. Fewer obligations, fewer bills, fewer impulses, fewer financial leaks. Because retirement is not really about luxury, it is about control. Control over time, control over expenses, control over health, control over stress. And the retirees who detoxed their lifestyles gained that control back piece by piece. Meanwhile, others remained trapped, still spending emotionally, still chasing status, still numbing stress with food, alcohol, and consumption. Still pretending retirement means endless comfort while inflation quietly eats their future alive. That is the danger most people never see coming. Retirement is not one giant financial event. It is thousands of tiny decisions repeated daily for decades. Every meal, every purchase, every subscription, every impulse, every boundary, every habit. And the consequences genuinely compound. That is why the wealthy retirees who survive longest financially are rarely the flashiest people in the room. Usually, they are the calmest, the least reactive, the least desperate for attention. They understand something modern culture desperately tries to hide. Freedom is not built through endless consumption. Freedom is built through disciplined reduction, by lowering dependency, lowering fixed costs, lowering emotional spending, lowering the number of things capable of controlling your peace. And once retirees learn that lesson, fear begins disappearing too. Market crashes become less terrifying when monthly expenses stay low. Inflation becomes manageable when spending is intentional. Economic downturns become survivable when lifestyle inflation never took over completely. That is the hidden power of the retirement detox. It is not deprivation, it is defense. Defense against inflation, defense against poor health, defense against emotional manipulation, defense against financial fragility. Because the truth is brutal. A person earning millions can still go broke if spending stays emotionally uncontrolled. And a disciplined retiree with modest wealth can remain financially secure for decades by mastering restraint. That is the game. Not earning endlessly, keeping control endlessly. And the retirees who understand that stop trying to look wealthy. They focus on staying free. Because eventually every older person reaches the same terrifying realization. Time matters more than status. Health matters more than appearances. Cash flow matters more than ego. Peace matters more than performance. And if you can build a retirement life that needs less, consumes less, and depends less on external systems, you become incredibly difficult to break financially. That is the real goal. Not luxury, not image, not applause, freedom without panic. And in an economy built on convincing people to consume themselves into dependency, that kind of freedom becomes one of the rarest forms of wealth left. Have you ever cut something from your retirement life and felt genuinely freer because of it? I actually want to know what happened. Drop it in the comments below. And if this video helped you see retirement differently, subscribe, because there is more where this came from.